Liberty family. Welcome back to our Sunday podcast at 7 o'clock here in the sunny Florida. We got a really special show set up for you tonight. But for those of you who are joining us for the first time, we are Lions of Liberty. This is Beyond the Lines, a weekly podcast that we do. We're a 501c3 charity that takes veterans and first responders out fishing for free and other outdoor activities that we tend to get into. We do this as a way to give back to the community, both to give some rest and relaxation and sometimes even some relief from that PTSD there, folks. So thank you so much for joining us. On the screen, you're going to see the lovely Linda and Tracy from Honor Flight. They're going to go into what they do for the community with us. And behind the microphone there, running all the stuff behind the scenes there, Mr. Scott Bacon, our vice president. So,
hello, hello, hello.
Oh, he got real echoey there. That was a weird one.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, it sounds like you're in the train station hollering across there.
Gotcha.
I was going to say, he sounds like he's in a tunnel.
Right. Well, good. We won't talk to him until he gets his microphone sorted out. We'll go with you.
Can you
ladies.
turn the
No, I'm just kidding.
AC off?
Look, for those of you who don't know about Honor Flight, it's an incredible service, and I'm just going to leave it right to you ladies to tell us all about it. What is Honor Flight?
Okay, I will lead off. Honor Flight was started up in 2005. I'm trying to add the other two back in. As everyone might remember, the World War II Memorial was dedicated in 2004. Obviously, at that time, the World War II veterans were in their 80s for the most part. And as they were trying to gather 1,000 of them for the dedication ceremony, many of them were passing away day by day, and it became quite a challenge to get everyone there. Two gentlemen noticed that this was going to be a problem. So Earl Morse and Jeff Miller decided that they would create Honor Flight, and the whole purpose was to get as many World War II veterans to DC to see the memorial that was dedicated in their honor before they passed away, completely free of charge to them. So 20 years ago, Honor Flight began as this one small little flight, and since that time, in 20 years, they have started a whole charity that has flown over 300,017 veterans to see their memorials in DC, absolutely for free. There are over 120 hubs throughout the nation. Florida alone has 10. Obviously, we're a very veteran-dense state. The only state that beats us currently is California. So Honor Flight of West Central Florida, that is stationed out of St. Pete Clearwater Airport, is one of those hubs. We cover, each of us are assigned certain counties that we handle all the veterans that wish to go in those dedicated areas, and we fly them for free to Washington. Obviously, at first, when I started 13 years ago, we had all World War II veterans. Then, of course, as time went on, we brought in the Korean veterans, and now obviously I think we have one, correct, Linda, for the upcoming flight, one World War II vet, and he is 101. Yes,
I believe so.
Yes, he's 101. So obviously we're not taking a lot of World War II veterans at this time, but of course, if they are able to do so, we love to have them with us. But we do still have a small group of Korean veterans that we are flying. They, of course, are also around 90 at this time. And then throughout the country, about 83% of veterans that are flying with Honor Flight are beloved Vietnam veterans. So we take 4 flights a year, 2 in the spring, 2 in the fall. We take 75 veterans on each flight and 75 guardians. The guardians are what make it happen for us. They donate $500 each to spend the day with their veteran. This can be a family member. This can be a friend. It cannot be their spouse or partner. That is a network rule throughout the country. Obviously, for the most part, due to age and physical capabilities, if you're 90 years old, you probably can't push your husband around up to 3 to 5 miles in a day, and so forth. So it is going to be someone else. If they do not have someone in their family or friend support system that wants to go with them, we have a database of people that donate to have that experience with a veteran and spend a fantastic day getting to know their veteran and escorting them around DC and assisting them with the adventure. But those guardians are what make it happen for us. Our flights currently, we have a chartered Allegiant jet. We have such a large crew of almost 200. Obviously, we can't fly with other people on a jet, so we charter Allegiant. So our flights are about $90,000 at this time. So we have easily over $200,000 a year that we have to fundraise to make the flights happen. So Linda and I, along with other board members, spend a lot of our time fundraising throughout the community. We are, as you are, a 501c. We are a nonprofit that spent 98 cents of each dollar goes to our flights. We do not have a paid staff. We do not have an office. The only thing we are purchasing goes to our flights as much as possible. The only other difference is the 1 cent is our office supplies, snacks, drinks, gears for the flight, things like that. Everything we do goes towards our flights. That is our goal. We have a waiting list, of course, because we are in a veteran dense area. We want to get every veteran we can onto our flights to see their memorials in DC. It is our number one priority to make that happen.
Wow. That's pretty impressive. That's a lot of fundraising and a lot of incredible volunteers. It sounds like what a network you guys have built.
And I think Linda can tell me the exact number of how many veterans we have flown. I'm positive she can tell me in about 2 seconds.
With the upcoming flights that are already scheduled, 3,679 since 2011, which was our inception in Tampa Bay.
Yes, so we're close to breaking 4,000 veterans that we've already taken to DC. So of course our goal, and if at all possible, we want to be able to add a 5th flight a year. As I said, we have a lot of veterans we need to take. So with the help of our wonderful, as you said, volunteer community, we hope to make that happen in our near future. We want to get as many as possible on our flights.
So talk to us about the flights. I know sort of, excuse me, peripherally, once we started talking about who we're going to interview today, we found out one of our friends is one of the, what did you call them? Guardians, I think.
She's one of our guardians.
And that she's Michelle Denham's going to take a trip with you guys on the 15th. Does that sound right?
Yeah, good. That's awesome. Yes, our first flight of the year is April 15th.
9 days
That's
from
good
now.
stuff. That's good stuff.
9 short days.
I'm not counting. I'm not counting at all.
And
So
poor
sorry.
Scott, your voice is still a little wonky, buddy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it is. Okay, sorry about that. Still good? Still echoey? How are we at?
Yep, you're just echoey. You're not like the repeat double time and echo. It just sounds like you're.
Yeah, that's
Remember
my
when we were
fault.
kids? We
I
used to use the cans?
apologize. Apologize. But
That is what
couple-
he sounds like.
if you can
And
hear
now
me
he's-
okay.
Now his lips are moving, but there's no sound coming out like the old movies. Remember?
Yeah, nice, nice. So
I don't know if I'm that old, but then
I
Yeah,
am.
so-
Yeah, I just
Yeah,
dated myself.
right.
Great.
Yeah.
All right.
I know of them.
I meant
never
the foreign
personally
films where their mouths didn't
with the
match words.
subtitles.
Yeah.
very nice, yeah. So we got
Oh,
a
yeah.
question
Oh,
out there that
believe
says,
me, we at all times are recruiting guardians. They make it happen, and we've had guardians that come again and again and again. It truly is an amazing experience. It's hard to describe. The day is packed full. We leave. They are at the airport and in the air before 6 a.m. and we return home at 8 o'clock. So it's of course a long day, but it's a once in a lifetime experience. It truly is.
Yeah. How would somebody get involved if they wanted to be a guardian? What would be the best way?
The first thing we ask you to do is go online to our website on our flight WCF.org. And that stands for West Central Florida, if that helps everybody put it together. And there is, of course, a spot where you can click for our guardian application, and you would fill that out. And once you are scheduled for a flight is when the actual donation happens. We, of course, like Linda, is our actually the best veteran coordinator in the country, but we also have a fantastic guardian coordinator, and Barbara would reach out to them and check their availability for flights and get something scheduled. But there's other options if you don't want to, like let's say you have children and you can't leave for an entire day because of course from 4 a.m. till 8 p.m. is a long day, or maybe you have other circumstances. there's always an opportunity for volunteering with us. We have, as you just mentioned, we also have a big fundraiser on May 4th that's coming up at the OCC Roadhouse that we will use under Linda's watchful guidance. Many volunteers, so there's a lot of coordination that's going to happen that day. So we take also volunteers that we use for orientation. We use almost 50 to is the Saturday before we fly. We always fly on Tuesdays. There's a training day that is orientation that our veterans and guardians meet each other and get all their gear and get ready so Linda can create the flight manifest. So we use volunteers that day. We use volunteers send off on flight day in the morning. And we also have an enormous welcome home celebration at the St. Pete Clearwater Airport, where over 700 people will be there to greet our veterans. And so we, of course, need volunteers to coordinate. Once we get off the plane, we have honor guards that lead us through, many of them actually, which is amazing. But we use volunteers that evening as well. So there are many opportunities for you to help us as a volunteer. And we use a ton of volunteers, and they are absolutely fantastic. And many of them have been with us as long as I have. So it's wonderful to see everybody every year come in and help us. So, or you can just come out to the welcome home at 8 p.m. on April 15th. And I'm telling you what, we've had people that just see it on Facebook and go, well, we're going to come check it out, that stop me and say, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. So it will not be a waste of your time. It is absolutely incredible. We have live music, we have DJ, we have, believe it or not, age appropriate cheerleaders that are so entertaining. It's incredible. We have pinup girls, we have service dogs, we have always representation from MacDill, from CENTCOM, admirals and generals that are there to meet our beloved veterans. We have all kinds of entertainment, and let alone with the crowd. So it is a fantastic time, and it's over by 9:15. So it's not like you're out till 11 p.m. on a school night. So it's a great experience in a very 2-hour time frame. So
wow.
And I can tell you, the first time I was a guardian 13 long years ago, when I was just a young child, I got off the plane and I texted my husband and said, I'm here. And he's like, there's a lot of people here. And I thought, well, okay, there's 150 of us guardians and veterans. So, we all need a ride. So, okay. So that seems like a lot of people. I had no idea when I came out that day that I was going to look at 500 people. I had no idea. You instantly cry. Your veteran is blown away. And it is an amazing experience. And I always encourage people to come out and see them. It is just absolutely wonderful.
And a lot of our veterans don't know about that welcome home. We try to keep it quiet to them unless they've actually seen it on our social media or on the news, because we do have the news come out there and they do get an experience of what's going on. So, and we don't know how many people are going to show up. I mean, we put it on our social media, and then, people, it's amazing how you can walk off a flight and they don't have any idea. And then you see the Pinellas County Sheriffs, their honor guard. And then you stand next to the motorcycle group, next to the Boy Scout group, next to the Rosie the Riveters, then next to the Knights of Columbus. And then you turn the corner and there's school kids, and then veterans who have flown with us in the past. We invited them. They have an entire area called Ambassador Area. Those are veterans who have flown on our flights before, and they want to welcome them home just as much as they were welcomed home when they had their trip. And then, like she said, you have a DJ, and then you have, the dogs, the service dogs, and then you have Santas. We have Santas that are there. And this is not even including the families that have come out in droves. I mean, she says, like, we've seen up to about 1,000 people, and it's just amazing. These men and women are crying because they did not get the welcome home. This is their welcome home that they never got. So that's how I started. I went to a welcome home, and I signed up to be a volunteer that day. And I've been on every single role but Tracy's, it feels like, through this whole entire journey. What, 9 years, 10 years? Yeah.
It'll bring you in.
Incredible. That's,
Yep. And what's
So the-
my funny story from the last flight, because I'm always the first one off. I want to make sure that Karen, who's our wonderful welcome home coordinator, she's amazing, that everything's okay on the ground. And I come into the baggage claim area, and it's amazing. And our guarding coordinator Barb came up to me, and I never know what's there. I assume it's all good, and everybody's had a great time until I've shown up. And she comes up and she's like, "You need to come over here and meet the cow." And I was like, "The cow? There's a cow here?" I'm like,
You
"We have
never know.
dogs." I'm like, "Is there a cow here?" I was like, "I didn't know about a cow." And the whole time, and she's like, "You have to go, you have to go." Well, here was the Chick-fil-A cow, because they do our breakfast for us. And here's the Chick-fil-A cow. And I was like, well, I just never know. And everybody comes out. Here they had sent a whole representation because one of their managers flew as a guardian. So every time I step off, I meet an incredible new surprise that I didn't know was going to be there. We had a group of gentlemen from the Jacksonville Army recruiting office one time that saw it on Facebook and drove over from Jacksonville, showed up and hung out and said, "Hey, can we come on the other side of the rope and meet everybody?" Well, you sure can.
That's
So
awesome.
the more military representation we have there, the happier we are. So I mean, I never know what's going to happen when I go through those doors, and it's always, and I really, let me just say, I don't want to meet a real cow, so I
No.
hope that doesn't happen. But you never know. You never know. A
Did you
horse,
know-
I might be okay with. I don't know.
Did you know that the Air Force has a mascot?
Yes.
Neither did we until the
Yeah.
mascot shows up at our welcome home next to the cow.
Next to the cow. We never
It
had
was
a
a-
mascot, and then we had two. So
We
who
had two.
knows? Yeah.
Well,
He's a
that's all right.
rocket, right? He's a rocket.
He's like
Yes,
a plane,
yes.
or yeah.
He's
Yeah,
a
tell us
rocket.
about the
Wings
Air
in the
Force
head.
mascot, Scott. I
Yeah,
haven't heard
man.
about
I
this.
had
Scott's
no
an Air
idea.
Force guy.
You
We
can
didn't
hear
either.
me okay? Yeah,
Yes.
sounds okay. Yeah, I didn't know we had a mascot, but
Yeah.
But now you know.
yeah, very
you know.
interesting.
And if
Somebody,
I think he's coming in April as well. So if you
Wow.
want to come, you can meet him.
Yeah.
okay, all right. So, and again,
The
sorry,
kids loved it.
I've been trying to fix things a little bit here in the background, so I may have missed a few things. But a couple people online here asked, do you have any issues filling the seats as the flights are scheduled?
As far as veterans, we have about 300 on our wait list right now. So when I call them up, sometimes their schedule may conflict. They may have doctor's appointments. They may be snowbirds. So I will get them on a flight when I ask them. So it may take 5 or 6 calls to fill a seat. Guardians, it's same sort of thing. It's like I have to ask off for work because they're younger. They may be working. I have to take a day off of work. Let me check with that. We're always looking for guardians because we have to fill. So if we have 75 veterans, I'm going to say 20 of them have family members they want to go with. That means we need to backfill about 50 seats of just general public who sign up to be guardians. So we're always looking for guardians. We're always looking for volunteers, and both of those, all of it can be signed up on our website and just fill out an application.
That's it. Somebody can just go on the website,
Go
fill
on
out
the
the
website and
application.
sign
That's
up.
it. Well, look at
Yeah,
this.
that's it.
Now
I
he
am-
went dark. Oh,
No.
there he is.
I'm
There you
trying out a new thing here where I can go. You know, this is all new stuff, so I can. Oops. Yeah, so I can go like that. Wrong one. Nope, that one. Hold on. There we go. Technology.
There it is on
Hey,
our flight.
look at that.
Hey,
that.
wow.
There's the
Look
website.
at that
Only took me-
technology.
Only took me
you
27
go.
tries. Wow, I'm great.
There you
Look at
go.
that.
You
So
can do it better than we can. So we're impressed.
so the once the flights go out of, in this case, it's Tampa. I mean, obviously you're a big
No,
or-
we go out
No,
of St.
or-
Pete, Clearwater.
Sorry, St. Pete, Clearwater. My apologies. Sorry. We
Okay.
go out of St. Pete, Clearwater, and we get to Washington. How do you get the veterans from the airport to where they need to go? Is there does your
Three
nonprofit
magical
pay for that?
buses. 3 magical buses. We fly into BWI and take buses into DC.
So
And
you
from
guys
there,
contract
we have a
that.
whole itinerary. Yes, we do.
So
That's also what the fundraising's for.
yeah, it's just good. Perfect. I
To
was
pay
just
for
going to say the
buses.
same thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Tracy's on the
Yep.
red bus. We have somebody who manages the white bus, and I'm on the blue bus because the blue bus is the cool bus.
Yes, Linda's got the cool bus.
That's
So
got the
yes,
cool
we
bus.
take
So,
We take 3 buses and a small staff to have 100 and usually right close to 190 people. So yes, and they of course get breakfast, lunch, and dinner with us because we all are together
Right.
from 4 a.m. till 8 p.m. So
Wow, wow.
we need assistance with that. So, and of course, getting on and off the bus. We're up there, of course, if they need a wheelchair once they get off the bus, we have that available for them as well. So we always need staff to assist with that. So yeah, there's a lot going on when we're in DC. So
and shout out to Pasco Aging Network. They were able to work up with us this year, and our wheelchairs were a bit older, and we had a connection from a guardian.
That's a nice way to put that.
Exactly.
Older.
We had a guardian who had been on our flight who is really into the community and giving back, and she had a connection at Pasco Aging Network, and they are able to lend us 50 wheelchairs every single flight for free. And then we don't have to worry about storing them, maintaining them, cleaning them, replacing them. They're going to provide this to us at 0 cost. Wow. So shout out to Pasco Aging Network, which is your friend who is flying with us in April. Right. She's part of that organization.
And not even to mention, she is coming in at 10 p.m. at night to receive them all back the night of the flight. So they have gone above and beyond to assist us, which we're so amazed and thankful for.
Yeah, and so maybe you said this, and I'm not 100% sure because, again, like I said, I was working in the background. But what did you say about how much does a trip cost?
Yes,
estimated
$90,000.
$90,000.
Mm-hmm.
That Hold includes.
On a second. Let me say that again. Let me say that again.
$90,000.
$90,000 to take a plane load of veterans to DC. $90,000.
Right. That is their plane ride. That is 3 buses. That is all their meals. That is orientation, snacks, their uniforms. Gear and anything else that we need to make it happen. So it's $90,000 a flight.
Wow, that's a big number. So.
And we do not get any support from any government. Is 100% fundraising on our part.
Yes, the federal government does not assist us.
Does not provide us anything.
Wow, there's no grants for that, you guys. It's all.
Well, we're working on it. We're going to try. But at this point, it's all out of our pocket.
Yes.
Amazing.
But what we do look for is we do look for corporations that can help us and be sponsors. We've had many organizations that have reached out and have been providing us funding from here and there. But we need to continuously keep that going. So
yes, Achieva always provides, and it can be from the smallest to the largest. I know a lot of people think, look, they just want us to donate 50,000. No, we don't. It can be from the smallest to the largest. I mean, Achieva does a wonderful thing where they supply all the, we give everyone when they're at orientation for the afternoon, they of course need hydrated and a little snack. So Achieva provides a large snack bag and hydration for them at orientation, which is, they love it. They love to get it. It can be something like that, or you can say, hey, we're going to take care of your buses on a flight. That's great too. Or, we want to pay for the plane ride. Wonderful. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. Or maybe you just want to buy all the shirts they're going to wear. That's 150 shirts that we're putting out there on every single flight. So maybe you want to do that, or just the hats or backpacks. We have many
coordination
options.
with the folks at the memorial. Do they know when you're coming in and everything, or?
We on our flight network has a portal that we all use where we register our itineraries so everybody knows when we're coming. And we also at times can be very fortunate where senators or House reps or governors or whoever's in town when it's not summer will come and meet us at the memorials. And we are also lucky. The Korean Memorial and Vietnam Memorial do different things. As you know, the Vietnam Memorial has their own .org because it is taken care of by a fully volunteer group, not by the feds. So they do wonderful things for our veterans there as well. So everybody knows when we're coming. I signed up. I was given the option to have school children join us at one of the memorials last year. And as Linda knows, I thought that meant like 30 children. It turned out that was 200.
Wow.
So, and they
wow.
each were under a school project where they interviewed our veterans, and it was wonderful, and they loved it. They
They
absolutely
felt like
loved it.
superstars because they
Yes,
were being
they
like
did.
paparazzi, because they were like, well, how did you get in? How long were you in? Where did you serve?
Yes, they had
And
they had to prepare questions ahead of time and present them to their teacher before they were allowed to come. And as I stood, if you're all familiar with the World War II memorial, you can see the Washington Memorial also from there. And here was this whole line of people walking, and I thought, wow, that's really interesting. Look at all those people walking. And then they got to me and said, oh, here are all the school children. And I was like,
Right.
oh, I thought we meant like 20. Okay, but 200 is good. I mean, that's good. That's fine. But they were just lovely, and the veterans got the biggest kick out of them. I truly cannot encourage enough our community. I'm telling you, when they see them at Welcome Home, we have Northside Christian comes out. They have T-shirts they wear. I
Wow.
mean, they make signs. They love to see them, whether we're in Washington or here in St. Pete and Clearwater. They love to see them. So I always encourage our parents to bring their kids. They just love them. So
Boy Scouts,
Boy
Scouts, Girl Scouts.
yes, in our
women's
what are-
network, Rosie the Riveters.
what's our cadets, the Civil Air cadets?
Yep.
Civil Air Patrol, they're a teenage group. Oh, they're just amazing. So we always encourage the young people to come out, because boy, do our veterans love to see them there.
So I'm going to put
So
you on the
that's
spot
very
here.
important.
So did well, can you remember any of the questions that the young folks asked, at least like one of them, or anything that they might have asked a veteran?
Oh yeah, their first question is always, how old were you when you went to war, when you signed up, and
Wow.
what is your first memory? And they ask a lot of specific questions on how did it begin, how did you get there, were you on a ship, did you fly a plane, describe your service. And that's always important to them. They also ask them a lot of times to describe their combat gear.
Oh, really? Well, yeah, there's,
Yep.
the kids want to know that. But some of those questions are just very fascinating that a child would want, or at least come up with questions like that. I'm sure they,
Oh,
they
yeah.
might have been helped out a little bit, but those are very,
Right.
when you're talking to somebody, that's a, trying to, I think we've lost in our youth today the respect, and not so much respect, that's the wrong word, but our youth understanding what our veterans go through,
Oh, yeah.
even all the way, I mean, obviously World War II, the last of the World War II folks are going to be gone. That's a lot of history that's not there anymore, that's was passed down from generation to generation and is being lost. But so to hear questions like that, for me, is just very inspiring that that they'll ask those types of questions.
Well, one thing I feel that probably ties them into that, if you're familiar with the Korean memorial, is that each soldier that you see at that memorial represents what they actually wore and looked like. And so to tell you how it can happen, and a lot of people ask, what do I do when I get to a memorial? What's my role? And one of the things that everyone that is along on the trip with us as staff, we of course take lots of pictures. We want their day memorialized as much as we can. So we will stop if we see people trying to take pictures. Let me take a picture of you and your guardian. But also my job is to get to know my veterans that are with me. And I happened upon a father and a daughter. And he was a corpsman in the Korean War, and he was just kind of looking at the statues. And so I said, oh, what represents you? And so he said, oh, I was a corpsman. I said, okay. I said, well, is it correct? He's like, yes. And he described his gun to me, and he described his gear. He described rainy season. He described how he had no idea that Korea was cold. I still don't think a lot of people understand that it's winter in Korea. Like it's winter here. That I don't think many people, I think we feel like it's like an island of heat. I don't think we understand that for the most part. And then he started to talk about when he joined the Navy. His wife had just had a baby, and they were put on a bus from Linda's area in Chicago. And with this baby and his wife, they were chartered across the country where they would stop. They stopped twice, and they camped with a hot plate he would put over a stove, and that's how she warmed the baby bottles, and that's how they got to California. He had no idea he was getting on a carrier to go to Korea.
Wow.
He did not know this. He just knew he was going to California. And the daughter that was with him wasn't that baby. She was the next baby. And she said, I had no idea my sister was even part of any of this. And he talked to me as we walked all the way, and you sort of have to be familiar with the triangle, but he walked with me all the way from Korea around all the way up Vietnam and talked for 45 minutes about his experience of getting to California, leaving her and the baby and getting on the boat and having no idea that that's where he was actually going to end up. He had no idea.
Wow.
And his daughter, I had told her when he started to talk to me, I said, hit the record button in your video on your phone and just let him talk.
Yeah.
And she did. And she told me she had never heard one word that he spoke to us that day. Never even had a clue. So that's part of it as well. We're there and to let them tell us their experiences, and hopefully their guardian is amazed by it as much as we are. I've had World War II memorial guys. Then when we've been around there, one guy told me you had to weigh 118 pounds. And when he joined, he weighed 115. So the recruiter at the office said, go down to the general store. He was from the country, eat one banana for each pound that you're short, and drink a gallon of milk, and sit on the steps for an hour. Don't go to the bathroom. Don't throw up. Just sit there. He said it was him and two other guys that were underweight, and they went back and weighed in. Well, he was put on the ship, and he was so tiny, his job was to go down into the cannons on the boat and clean them. That was his role.
Wow.
I mean, can you even
Wow.
imagine? I mean, they tell you just the most fascinating stories, and it has been one of the greatest blessings of my life to get to know some of them and hear what they've had to say. And you just never, who would think you'd meet a gentleman that was shoved down a cannon
Right.
in the 40s? I mean, it's like, how, I don't even can't imagine someone being so small or even willing to do that job. But there he was doing it. And who would think you would be sent to the general store to eat a bunch of bananas and drink some milk? Just
Sounds
crazy
like a really
things.
bad idea for a
So,
Friday.
so Mike, I had sent you some pictures. There's one picture that I had sent you. It was at the Korean War Memorial, and it's a gentleman standing, and then he has this veteran in a wheelchair, and it had Vietnam in his hat, and you could see the background of the Korean. It was one of the last pictures.
Oh man, I think that's what I lost, Scott, when in the email. That my email kicked those out. I thought all you sent me was the two attachments.
So I can.
We're gonna we'll do that post production. We'll get
It's
those
okay.
out.
So there is a so there's a story that I was at I love sitting at the Korean Memorial. I don't know what it is. I know my grandfather served in Korea. Maybe that was the reason. But there was a gentleman who was standing at the wall, and he was pushing his veteran. And I said, sometimes you wonder, like, what does this memorial mean to you? Like Tracy was saying. And this gentleman points out this picture on the wall. Now, the photos on the Korean War Memorial who haven't been there, they're etched in there. Now, these are real photos from like the Associated Press and all throughout the whole war that they have selected to put on this wall. And there's a photo, and this gentleman points at this wall. And I said, well, what is it? And he goes, see this photo right here? And I said, yeah. And he goes, now he's the guardian. He goes, that's my dad. He died before he could see it. So I'm here to honor my father. My father's face is on this wall. And there's a photo of him standing right next to the photo. And the photo is about the same size as his face. It is amazing. Just the stories. And Tracy, tell him the story about the gentleman who lost all of his, that Mark Wilson had replaced from Mark Wilson from Fox 13. The gentleman who from the Vietnam Wall, and he had put his hand on the wall, and about the guy who lost his whole entire crew. The one, the 18 clicks. Do you remember that one?
No.
Okay. So
Go ahead. You already told part of it anyway.
Mark Wilson.
You're doing a great job.
Mark Wilson from Fox 13 was with us, and he has his camera crew, but his gentleman that he had with his camera crew wasn't with him. He basically had just his camera. And he had taken a photo of a gentleman who was at the Vietnam Wall, and he had his hand on the wall, and he pulls his hand back up, and he takes his hat off, puts it over his heart, and he salutes. And we're like, okay, fine. Then he gets back in there, and him and his guardian had been scratching all these names off the wall over and over and over and over. And so Mark asked him the question is like, what is this about? And he said that he was serving, and in like all 18 of his guys died in one clip, just that are gone at one time. And since they had passed away all at the same time, they were all listed on the same wall together.
Right.
So he was very, very emotional, and he's like, I lost everybody in like 1 minute. So he had gotten that video for him, and Mark had showed me later on in the video, and he had said, let me show you this video. And I'm just, to this day, I watched that video and I was bawling. And I said, Mark, if you don't leave with that story, you're not understanding exactly what we're doing. Because right there, that's the reason we do exactly what we do, is because this gentleman needed to see that wall. He needed to scratch his buddies' names off that wall. And that's why we do this. So
Wow.
I will also say, since Linda brought it up, Mark Wilson from Fox News and Wendy Ryan from ABC, right? That's ABC, right? ABC Action News, both separately went on trips with us last year, and both won Emmys for their stories from Honor Flight. Both of them won. So, and we are having Jenny Lawson? Jenny Jean. Okay, there we go. April? Yes. So, yes. And Mark Wilson find us in the fall. Yeah. So we love to have the newscasters with us to share as much of these stories as they can. And it's amazing. They both had totally different ways of telling the story, which was really interesting. Wendy's story was much different than Mark's, so it was really cool to see the different ways they approached it. But yeah, you just never know what's going to happen, and what interesting little pieces you will learn of someone's history, and it's fascinating. And hopefully I know one of the things that, when they arrive, they of course don't know what to expect even at orientation, but then they realize they're sitting among all these other veterans, and you see someone else in a Navy hat and you start to chat. And it's interesting, in orientation, it'll start out kind of quiet when they get in the room, and then all of a sudden they all start talking, and then you can barely hear yourself think. So it's wonderful they get to create, and that's one reason we have in our ambassador program, is we want them to have a special place where they all can be and hang out together and come and celebrate other flights with us, and tell their neighbors. And we get most of our contacts. Linda and I both go to different posts around town. Yesterday I was just at American Legion 152 on Sheldon Road in Tampa, celebrating women that are veterans, actually. But we, I don't think people realize that they have to come on our website and apply as veterans. For obvious privacy protection laws, we can't call the VA and say, hey, give me a list of everybody that lives in Tampa. That's illegal. We can't do that. So we have to rely on the veteran community to find each other and say, hey, go on an honor flight,
Right.
And so that's one. I always say we have a 4-prong approach when we go and speak. Obviously, fundraising is important, because we can't do this without it. We want to recruit veterans to give them the experience. We need guardians to help us as well, and we need volunteers. So pretty much anyone that is anywhere to see us speak, there's something that we're happy to involve you in. We've got somewhere that you'll fit, I promise. And but we definitely, it's not all just about fundraising. Is we need veterans, and the only way we get them is from the veteran community. And so VFWs, American Legions, Elks, all these things are very important to us, because that's where their communities are. So we go to those places and other events to meet them, and we want them to get online and apply. So
we are currently flying World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. So anybody after that, we have to wait by network rules. We have to wait until all of them have flown before we start with Gulf War, Iraq, everything else, because their memorial is going to be built. They just made an announcement. They're going to be done in 2026 to have a Gulf War memorial.
Wow.
Oh,
I didn't know that.
good.
That's cool.
Yeah.
They're building
they just
that,
announced.
Yeah, they're building it between the Lincoln Memorial and the Vietnam Wall on that side of Lincoln Memorial. So they are building it. They were supposed to finish in 2025, but I think they just had some delays. But they are.
They just broke ground
2 weeks ago that they're going to be doing it in 2026.
hopefully I think 2026 probably is a bit aggressive, but hopefully by 2027 it's up and going. But
Right.
yeah, so we rely on our ambassadors, the veterans that have flown with us, and our community of volunteers and guardians. And I am not above this. I know Linda isn't either. I can be walking through Publix and see someone in a Vietnam veteran hat, and I'm your new best friend. And I get a little hairy eyeball looks every once in a while. But if you run into one of us, we're for real. We're not some crazy scam after you.
Right.
But we'll definitely hand you one of our cards that explain how to apply, and I leave notes on cars. I go to, much to Dave's embarrassment, I'll come up to you at Chick-fil-A and introduce myself. So, but we need to do that because obviously a lot of them don't even know we exist, and it's very important to us. So
some people say they know about us, but they don't know how to do it and what it includes. And when you try to tell them there's a free trip to DC to visit the memorials, they don't believe you. They're like, no.
Right.
So I was at Grow Financial the other day making our deposit, and I had run in 2 counters over. There was a gentleman who had a Vietnam hat, and I had provided him a card and said, hey, have you ever heard of us? And he said, yes. And I had said, hey, here's my card. Go online and fill out your application. It's a free trip. And as I was going around leaving, there was another teller who called back and said, you need to do that because they're legit. You need to do that because they see us every single month making deposits, and they know what we're about. So it was really, really nice that, we will stalk people and hand out our business cards. It doesn't matter. You wear a hat, we know who you are.
Right.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I have a couple questions here. So,
Sure.
Gene Hammond, who was our president, wasn't able to be here tonight to interview. Sorry about that, but he is listening and actually wrote in a couple questions. So
Sure.
I'll start with one of them. We're kind of running out of time, but the first one is, as a national society, does the funding go into one pool and divided amongst all chapters, or is it just the Tampa chapter?
No, we do not receive money from Network.
Oh,
Honor
so
Flight
this is all
Network.
raised locally.
Yes, this is all locally. We receive no money from Honor Flight Network. This is all locally raised by us. There is no support from
each
Network.
one of the 142 hubs has to raise money to provide
There
for
you go.
their own trips.
Well,
Yep.
okay. Well, there you go, Tampa Hub. They're paying for it themselves. We got to get them some funding. So
Yeah.
Right.
okay.
But
So
we do have a fundraiser coming up.
As
hold
mentioned,
on. We're
on
almost
May
there. We're
4th.
almost there. We are almost there. Let me answer some of these other questions here.
Sure, go
or
ahead.
ask some of them. So do you ever have a time? Well, first, how do you confirm service members are who they actually say they are? Do you have trouble with that? Do you ever have any problems with that?
No, there's been our network's pretty tight. If someone hears of someone that's not for real, no, we don't make you pull out your DD 214. Listen, if you're going to go online, these are with your servicemen. Are you really going to go on there and deceive us for a free flight to DC?
Right.
We're relying on, these are servicemen. We're relying on your honesty, and we've not run into a problem. Knock on wood, and that's what we're here for, because we love them and care about them. I'm not going to ask them to. I can't imagine that you're going to show up with 74 other veterans and not be real. I mean, that would take some serious something bad to be in that company.
Well,
so I can't imagine.
Yeah, and a plane full of veterans that find out that you're not a veteran. That's not a good deal.
Yeah, that's not a good.
We
place
don't
to
advocate
be,
for that. So but
yeah,
hey,
exactly. I'm
but,
not saying there aren't scammers in the world, but we certainly and since 2010 haven't encountered that, and I pray we don't. But I can't imagine that someone would do that to 74 other veterans. That would be just a horrible thing.
Right.
Great. Okay, go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
All right. Yeah, we're gonna try to pay the bills now, guys. All right. Talk to us. You told me offline about your event coming up on May the 4th.
May the 4th be with you.
May the 4th be with you.
That's right. There it is. Look at that. This is technology at work here.
There we go.
OCC Roadhouse. Oh, we've done events there. That's fun, huh?
Absolutely. That's a great place.
So tell us about this here.
So,
Well,
2
Linda,
years.
I was going
Go
to say
ahead.
lead with Paul. So
Yes. So,
Okay.
2 or 3 years ago, we were flying home, and Allegiant has a relationship with Paul Tuttle Sr. from OCC Choppers. He had came and he shook every single person's hand that had come off our flight. It was in the gate area, so it wasn't in the public area. It was basically focusing on just the veterans, and he shook everyone's hands. And we were talking about, how can we work together? And they had gotten us with the OCC, Keith Overton, who runs the OCC Roadhouse, and said, well, we'll give you the space on a Sunday and you pay for the band, and you could do fundraising, whatever you want. We'll do that, no problem. So last year was our first year. We have homegrown. It's a Zach
real quick, this was
Yep.
the first year ever since 2010 that we had a fundraiser that we put out there, that we weren't just the beneficiaries of a fundraiser someone else did. It was our fundraiser.
Yeah.
So
we've always been like golf
this
tournaments give us
yes,
money, bowling
exactly.
tournaments give us
This
money.
was all on us. Yeah.
So it was scary. So
Yes.
we worked that out, and we have Zach Brown, homegrown, the Zach Brown tribute band, and it is at OCC Roadhouse. Last year we only had half the space. They weren't sure how we were going to do, so they gave us half the space. And we had some corporations that came out there, and women's clubs and doctors that came out there and gave us checks. And I think we raised over $60,000 with fundraising, 50-50, everything. They came out and did a great job. We said it was so successful, we were going to do it again. So this year they gave us the entire space because they said that we were one of the largest they had ever had for a fundraising event. So they were blown away. They didn't even have the staff to support us. They didn't think we were going to do that well. So now we have the entire space. It is going to be, again, we loved the Zach Brown band, the homegrown band. So they're coming out again this year for us, which is great. So we have 50-50, we have raffles. We've been going through different corporations. We're looking for more. So if you have a restaurant that have, or anything.
We need silent auction items.
Silent auction items, we have that. So I do already have items from Universal Studios just gave us some tickets. Lowry Park Zoo gave us some tickets. The James Museum downtown St. Pete, they've been providing some stuff. We have some racquetballs. It's a great group, and we're trying to get more stuff in. But we would love to have any organizations that want to donate anything for us for our 4Ks, so we can make this even more successful to keep us flying this year. So. Tickets are $25 in advance. You can buy general admission tickets, or we have tabletops of 4, or there's also tables of 6. At the day of the event, it is $35, and 100% of the proceeds for those door entry fees go to us.
Yes.
So they're not taking anything.
Very, very
and to buy
nice.
tickets,
very nice.
Yeah, the tickets, you go to the OCC Roadhouse website and hit events.
Yeah.
And on May 4th, you'll find us, and you can buy your tickets that way.
You can buy a table of 6, table of 4, just general admission.
Or you can buy a bunch of individual ones. You can do whatever you need.
That's awesome.
So, ladies, we're a small 501c3, but we really are so plugged into this community that we just feel like you got to support each other. So I talked to the board before we came on tonight, and if you'll have us, we'd love to come out to your event. We would offer up no less than at least one offshore inshore. We're not sure which one.
That's
fishing
wonderful.
for the raffle, so people can bid on getting a charter from us.
Oh, they'll love that.
And,
That's awesome.
We would love
Thank
to have
you.
a table for you. Then you can sign up veterans while you're there. If you want to have anyone sign up, anything
Sure.
there, we can give you
Come
a
work
table.
the event.
We've
Yes.
done
That's
stuff.
great.
That'd be great. Yeah, we have a
You
little.
put a
tent
table
that
out
we
there,
usually-
sign people up.
Yeah. So you
We
do
have-
tables or the tents?
Mhm.
Yep.
And we
Well,
also
well,
had
you're under head, so you don't need to
Okay.
undercover. So you don't need a tent, but we'll put you in right in our
Yeah.
busy
have a
auction
that'd be
area.
great.
Yeah.
Oh,
we
that's
did.
awesome.
wonderful.
We did have somebody who came up to us one time from a different organization. It was called Socially Funded, and they do this. This gentleman buys items throughout. It's jerseys and sports memorabilia and
signed
music,
pictures and
signed pictures, and he does this, and then he sells all these items at the highest bidder, and then he gives us a percentage of that as well. So last year, I believe
he'll be there.
I think he gave us like $6,000 last year. So that was
Yeah.
an amazing
Wow.
amount of money. So,
Wow.
and
So
he just
he'll
got
be
2
there.
tables of his own stuff and sold it. So,
And
And
he'll be
wrapped it
there
up.
again, right?
yeah, he's going to be there again this year.
Yep. So yeah, he'll be. That
And
was
we have a
wonderful.
photographer. We also have some patriotic pinup girls who are going to be there. They're going to be going around dancing
And
with
their
everybody.
big skirts and fancy gear.
Wow.
Yeah,
Look
they'll
at
be
that.
out there. So there's
It is an
dancing
event.
and fun.
We
Oh.
Yes.
listen,
And there's food
we-
and drink from OCC that you can purchase while you're there,
Purchase.
so you don't get thirsty. And so yeah, there's lots to do.
we make it
Keep
fun.
entertained. Yes.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
do.
And
We have a wonderful community. They're always awesome and come out and
Couple
go there for us.
of quick shout outs here. Mom and Dad from way up in the frozen north there and near Buffalo, New York are online said hello. Teresa, what's going on? Teresa says she loves the stories. Thank you for sharing. Amy Lockhart, like our #1 fan. Amy, I
beautiful.
love it. Come
Yeah,
on.
right.
And Joe B chimed in. Thanks so much for everything you do. It means a lot to us veterans and first responders. So thank you for everybody who joined us on that's just the Facebook side. These ladies are doing a heck of a lot of work in our area. The fact that you're raising that kind of money at least 4 times a year. Right now it's 4 times a year, right?
We sure like to bump it to 5, as I say
There
that,
you
and
go.
on my board is like, oh my. So yeah.
A lot of work.
And we're
lot
super
of work.
excited to come join you because
Yes, that'll be
the
awesome.
band that you were talking about is our
Homegrown?
they're
Yeah,
close
they're
friends of ours. They
Oh,
do
no
a lot of our
way!
Fabulous,
events.
yes.
Yeah.
Love them.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh,
Big
they were
Tom-
such
Tommy
a
and the
big
boys
hit.
over there.
Band, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, they
Yeah.
And
And
we
by the way,
love
we
them.
have full-time jobs. So this is just a part-time gig. We volunteer
Yes.
to do all this stuff. This is on top
So
of
do
our
we.
full-time jobs.
Yeah, absolutely. So
We get the whole question. I just had it today on a call. So where is your office that I can drop this off? I'm like, well, my
My living
office
room?
is where I am at the time. It can be my
Mhm.
car. It can be, usually it's my home office where
Exactly,
I work my
exactly.
full-time job. So yeah, we get that a lot. Where's your office? Boy, that would be great if we
But
had
you
an
know what?
office.
It's all worth it at the end of the day when they
Yes.
get off the flight and they've gone through the line of people and they've gone home. And then you get the calls and the voicemails and the text messages and the letters and the emails saying, best day of my life. Thank you very much. This is something I needed. I didn't really know that I needed this closure. And then that is what makes it all worth it, because you're exhausted by the end of the day. But when you hear those thank yous, you're like, okay, let's do it again in 6 more weeks.
Yeah, and we do.
And we
And
do.
I
That's,
love to I had a guardian that went with her dad, and her dad's health wasn't great, and he really never left his place. He lived in a over 55 community, and she said, he just really didn't really want to talk to anybody. He wasn't ever social. And she called me a week later and said that he got home, and of course we give him the shirt, and she's like, Tracy, he's worn it every day, and now he's been around the community so much he's met like 150 people just to tell him about Honor Flight and what the day was like for him. She's like, my brother and I have never seen him like this or anything to compare it to. So she's, called to thank us and said it just changed everything. So that's what we live to hear. That's what we live to hear.
And we do. We have brothers going. We have 3 sets of brothers going. We have a father and son going, and then we have a husband and wife going on this April trip.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, listen, that's why we do it, right? To put the smiles on the faces, to give a little bit of relief in an otherwise tough situation. Amy, Scott, you're not going to believe this, but Amy Lockhart, she did a trip as a guardian back in 2016.
Yeah. There we go. That's awesome.
Of course she did.
Yeah.
Girls everywhere.
Yeah. So.
But hey, this is a good way to wrap it up, guys. Let's go. I just want to recap a little bit. We covered so much. Your foundation is amazing. You're serving our local community. I think it's important as charities that we give each other some space and some time and kind of work together as often as we can. So I'm so glad that you reached out and that we had the platform. But just a call to action, guys, is that we have flights coming up here in April, and most importantly is down at OCC on May the 4th. Make sure you sign up for the event. Go to the website. Go to OCC. Let's get down there. Let's support this amazing organization that's taking care of our heroes. And there's fewer and fewer of them around, guys. So let's make sure we do our best to take care of them. But don't forget to check on each other.
Yes.
Stay healthy out there, and we're going to see you around, right? If we don't see you at this event, hopefully we'll see you on the water.
Yes.
And
thanks
ladies,
for so
it's
much
been
for
an honor.
inviting us and
Thank
having
you
us.
Yeah,
We
so
can't
thank
wait
you.
to meet you in person in May.
Yeah,
Definitely.
thank you very much. That was it was a pleasure to have you on. So,
Thank you. Thank you, Scott.
All right,
Thank you, Mike.
guys.
all right.
All right, and just to pay the bills one last time, thank you everybody for joining Beyond the Lines. It was a great show today, getting to know Honor Flight. Make sure you go out and like the pages, right? Make sure you visit Honor Flight's website. If you want to donate, click the button. I'm
And
sure
apply.
it's right there.
Yeah.
Apply to be
Bye.
Guardian,
a
veteran,
guardian. That's right.
volunteer.
Send your veterans there, and hey, follow us on social media. Right below our YouTube channel, you'll see all of our socials right there. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on Instagram. We even have a TikTok out there, guys. Remember, every little bit that you do to help promote us is going to help the veterans, right? In one way or the other, whether it's us taking them on trips or getting to know other organizations like this, it all works toward the common goal of making this place a little bit better for all of our veterans and first responders.
Right.
Thanks
Yes.
again.
Thanks.
God
Ian.
bless and have a great night, folks.
All right.